Steph Curry for the first time on the court last night, tweeted MVP, no debate. And Steph's next opponent, LeBron James, weighed in with his thoughts. Take a listen.
I don't know anything else. If you're looking for MVP, if Steph is not on Golden State's team, then what are we looking at? And we get caught up in a record sometimes. We get caught up in who has the best record, and instead of just saying who had the best season that year. And Steph has had, in my opinion, the best season all year.
Talk that talk, King James. Joined by someone else who knows how to talk that talk. My guy, Slick Ric Bucher. But Marcellus, what did Steph Curry prove to you this season?
Nothing. Nothing. And I take really an issue with people who are saying he proved something this year, and I know that somebody up here is going to obviously say something to that regard. Okay, he affirmed his greatness. Like, okay, we know how great you are, and you showed us once again you're great. But how is Steph Curry still in some type of proving ground? Like, Steph Curry proved something? How did we think this season was going to play out? Now, I know I'm going to sound smart to only dumb people right now because this was pretty obvious. No Klay Thompson, Mr. Triple Single, and Draymond Green with his lowest output of 7 points per game this year. And Andrew Wiggins is your second leading scorer with his monotone self. And he gave you the least production that he's had in the last 3 years. And what do you think Steph Curry was going to do? He was going to go out there and light it up, and this team was going to struggle to make the playoffs and be exactly where they are. So when I hear proven, I take it as a slight. This is a two-time MVP. And people are like, yeah, he proved something to me. He's already been great. He was top 5 before we even got into this conversation. Oh, y'all got derailed. He broke his wrist. Messed his hand up. People was like, oh, he can't golf anymore. What, you think he can't play basketball anymore? As soon as he got healthy, he showed you who he was. The Steph Curry of old is still the Steph Curry that's great.
Steph Curry proved he's the most underrated player in NBA history.
Okay, I take that.
Very simply, when you talk about the players who have multiple scoring titles, multiple NBA championships, and multiple MVPs, the list is Michael Jordan, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem, and Steph. How did Steph Curry prove that he is the most underrated player in NBA history? Because if you were to poll 100 people and ask them who is the greatest basketball player to ever play the game, some old head would say Wilt Chamberlain. Some not as old head would say Kareem, more deserving. And the majority of people would say Michael Jordan. But nobody would ever fix their lips to even put Steph Curry typically in a top 10 conversation. Look at the rankings of the greatest basketball players of all time. You do not see Steph Curry in a top 10 conversation. But Steph Curry, the only player with Michael Jordan to win a scoring title at 33 and older. Steph Curry, a unanimous MVP, the only player to win a unanimous MVP. Steph Curry doing this at this age, plus what he has already done and already accounted for. I think this season, if he proved nothing else, Steph Curry proved that he is the most underrated player to ever dribble a basketball.
Okay, before I get to all of the things that he proved and did not prove, I have to take care of this business because, E, you keep trotting this out.
What'd I do?
That being the only unanimous MVP selection somehow suggests that he's the only guy that was ever worthy of being a unanimous MVP selection. I can't be my brother's keepers, all of my other media members who decided that Shaquille O'Neal one year didn't deserve it or Kobe didn't deserve it. I can't take that unanimity, if I can say that, and suggest that that somehow elevates him above some of these other players. This is what he demonstrated. This is what he proved this year. He proved, one, that nice guys don't have to finish last. They may not finish first, and he didn't this year, but they don't have to finish last. He also proved that you don't have to be a hard ass in order to inspire or lead. He demonstrated that he's not only one of the greatest or the greatest all-time shooters in the game, but that he's the greatest all-time contested shot maker of all time, because just about every shot he took this year was contested. But the problem that you have in having this conversation with me is that I've been watching the league very closely for a long time. And so while I am excited, thrilled, admire the hell out of what Steph Curry did with this crew this year, I was around in 2011 when Derrick Rose took a team that wasn't much more talented than this one all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. I was around when Carmelo Anthony won the 2013 scoring title and took the New York Knicks to the second round with a team not that much better than this one. So while I appreciate and love what Steph Curry has done, and there's nobody I'd rather watch playing the game, when I put what he's done in context, he has a team that is in the 8th seed. We don't even know if they're actually going to make the playoffs because they still have to go through the play-in tournament in order to get there. And I look at what he has around him. I can appreciate it. I can applaud. But I am not going to go to the heights that you just did, E, where it's this season elevates him into the top 5 or 10 all time. They're still an 8th seed. They're still only a couple games over 500. What are we talking about?
I said that. I didn't say that Steph Curry was one of the top 5 or top 10 all time. I said he is the most underrated player of all time. Slick, if I were to blind resume you.
And then you said we never talk about him being in the top 5 or top 10.
If I were to blind resume you and I were to say this, this player is the only player to win a unanimous MVP during the era of Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Tim Duncan. And there, if I were to tell you, Slick, this player had a scoring title after the age of 33. Only Michael Jordan did so. If I were to tell you, Slick, this player was on a list with Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Michael Jordan as the only players with multiple scoring titles, multiple MVPs, and multiple championships, you'd be like, man, it's probably a, I don't know, top 8, top 10, top 12 type of player. Who is he? Then I tell you, oh, it's Steph Curry. Oh, just Steph? That's what we do. Oh, just that guy? Oh, just Steph? They're the oldest scoring champion since that. Oh, just Steph? Like, Slick, you are sleeping.
I'll give you this.
You're sleeping on the fact, Slick, that he is a unanimous MVP when LeBron was there, and D. Wade was there, and Kobe was there, and Kawhi was there, and Duncan was there, and D. Rose was there, and Chris Paul was there, and Harden was there, and Kevin Durant was there, and Westbrook was unanimous, Slick.
You're now trying to trigger me by using that unanimous time after time. Don't do that. Look, I will give you that we have never fully appreciated what Steph Curry has accomplished in his career and the intangibles that he brings that go above and beyond what that dude in a 6'3", 190-pound body can do. It is remarkable what he's accomplished. But don't take what we've seen this season, what has happened in this season, and say that this somehow elevates him to a new place, or that this is a reflection of why we haven't fully appreciated him. As Marcellus said, he's been this and he's been better than this. I fully reject this idea that this is the best we've seen of Steph Curry. And by the way, the guy who just got knocked out by Steph is going to say he's undoubtedly the MVP, and the guy who's got to face him next is saying he's undoubtedly the MVP. Doesn't make him the MVP. It makes it convenient that those two guys would try to